Hi everyone, this is Marianne and welcome to my latest update regarding my Little One Book July challenge for 2018. Like I mentioned in my previous update, I have shifted to version 3, Go Big or Go Home. And this week was very good for this challenge, but it was also a little bit unusual, so let me tell you what happened. On Monday, July 16, I was at work the whole day, and it was the usual toxic Monday, and I didn't get to study at all. I was still tired from the weekend trip that I had, so I went to bed pretty early. And then on the next day, I was already at work, and so was everyone else, when at 9 o'clock, work was suspended because of the heavy rains which were causing massive flooding in Metro Manila and other parts of the country. These were all brought by the monsoon season plus a tropical storm called Henry. I could not book a Grab going home because I think Grab drivers were also having trouble navigating flooded streets, so I stayed in the office doing some work until a Grab driver finally accepted my booking to go home to the dorm. I took the rest of the day to just be alone and just be quiet, which I really needed after not having had any quiet alone time for more than a week, and I was feeling a little bit under the weather. And then on Wednesday, I got word that work was suspended again because the rains and flooding were forecast to be even worse. There were actually two typhoons coming in, one after the other, called Inday and Josie. I stayed home and took advantage of the free day, and I was able to make some progress with my thesis, but I did all of that in bed. I brought my Kindle to bed and the folding laptop stand that I have reviewed before, and my laptop, of course, and I even placed my backpack and my planner and everything I could possibly need beside me so that I can really make up for the time I lost last week. I decided to stick with the Kindle because reading in bed is easier with the Kindle. By the way, I made a video about how I made my dorm bed more comfortable, and I will link it in the description box. On the next day, which was a Thursday, work resumed, and it was very hectic at work because we had a lot of things to catch up on due to the work suspensions for the past 2 days, and we also had a fire drill. The rain stopped for a few hours, but by 5 o'clock the rains were starting again. I kind of suspected that we would have another work suspension on the next day, so I went ahead and submitted a couple of my work in advance of the deadline. I had to run errands after work and I took the shuttle. As you can see, it's still raining quite hard. And then I had another errand to run near my dorm. And as you can see, the streets are a little bit flooded near my dorm, but I felt that I had to push through with these errands because work could be suspended again the very next day. I was wearing my backup rubber boots because my 8-year-old Hunter rubber boots had already gotten a big crack in the sole, and I was dead tired by the time I got home. On the next day, like I suspected, work was suspended because of the weather. I stayed all day inside the dorm, just reading in bed. I have been taking it easy this entire week because everything I want to say is already very clear to me in my mind and on my notes, and I already know what sources to cite. I've been working on that on the previous weeks, and my framework has already been finished and polished by me several months ago, and I really want to enjoy the process, but at the same time, I also want to actually make a big leap forward in my research. By the way, I kept my windows open all this time because I really like listening to the sound of the rain. On Saturday morning, we had strong driving rain, as you can see here. I had to go to Makati Medical Center for a checkup with an orthopedic doctor for my back pains and also to see my dermatologist again and also for some lab tests that my endocrinologist and infectious diseases doctor asked me to undergo. Along the way, we passed through some streets that were still flooded. I had lunch at one of my favorite restaurants inside the medical facility, and I was also able to read a little bit. And I also saw once again this see-through elevator that always fascinates me. It's like a demonstrator fountain pen, but in elevator form. I spent the entire day in the medical facility, and by the time I was done, it was still raining. While I was waiting for my ride to go home in this spot right here outside the medical facility, a friend of mine, Ige Ramos, came by. Ige wrote and designed a book called Republic of Taste, and he mentioned to me that he no longer manages his time. Instead, he manages his energy. That made complete sense to me, and I believe that my first week of One Book July this year wasn't very good for me because I was managing the wrong thing. I was managing time instead of energy. So I think it was a good day to run into Ige. On Sunday, it rained the entire day, but the last typhoon was already gone. I took the time to do some things in my dorm room that I never had the time to do before, like organizing all the laundry that I had finally gotten back. I organized my desk because it has become a mess. I haven't really been using it because I have been working in bed for the past couple of days, and I did all of that while watching Friends on Netflix. But later that day, I started to actually write my chapter 6, the one that will have the analysis of Soledad's Sister by Jose Dalisay. I took out this notebook that I have shown and explained in a video, which I will link down below. And this notebook has all my excerpts from the novel, notes, and partial drafts of my analysis, which I have worked on several months ago. I have agonized about this chapter for a really long time because this is the final chapter before the conclusion, and with this chapter I really want to drive home the point that the state is uncanny. So most of my Sunday was spent writing this chapter, and I was really relieved to have been able to make this big leap forward in my thesis. I will be enrolling in my university this August. I no longer need any classes, but I need to enroll for residency and library access so that I can continue working on my thesis and finally finish the entire thing and defend it. For the coming week, I will polish Chapter 6 and hopefully come up with a draft that is acceptable for submission by August. And that is my update for you today. This is really thesis work merged with the rest of my life because the reality is that I have many other things to deal with aside from my thesis. I hope all of your One Book July projects are coming up nicely. I will see you again on the next update. Thanks for watching. Bye.